everyone. The topic of today's discussion is language, dialect and variety. It is one of the topic in the subject World Englishes and Sociolinguistics. So we will discuss that do we speak a language or a dialect and what is the difference between language and dialect. Let's begin our today's lecture. Do we speak a language of a dialect is a question. Let's answer this question. When we say English has become a global language, we are using the word language to cover a great deal of territory, right? So the term language represents an idealization. Individuals do not speak a language. It's very important, right? That individuals do not speak a language. If individuals do not speak a language, then what do they use or what do they speak? So they speak in a dialect, right? Not a language. Because language, that is something abstract, while dialect, that is something concrete. So you can realize, you can listen, you can visualize dialect, but not a language, right? So language, that is something like idealization, or that is something in our mind. So the term language represents an idealization. Individuals do not speak a language while they speak a dialect, not a language. This was the topic. Do we speak a language of a dialect? Of course, we use the dialect of a language, right? So we do not speak a language, rather we speak in a dialect. So they speak a variety of a language, right? Like for example, in the context or in Pakistani context, right? Or in Pakistani context, let's talk about Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, right? So here we have several varieties of Pashto language, right? So some people speak one variety and other people speak in another variety, right? So we have then different varieties. So people speak a variety of language. For example, if you ask me, so I'll say that I speak a variety of Pashto language, that is Yusufzai dialect. Some of you may speak like Banuchi dialect, or some of may speak like in Khatak dialect, Marwat dialect, and so on. So we have several variety of Pashto language which are spoken in different parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So when people speak, they speak a variety of a language or a dialect. We identify the national variety by terms such as American English, Australian English, British English, New Zealand English, and Canadian English. So then these would be the variety of English language. If we talk about like Urdu language, so there are also variety of Urdu language which are spoken in different parts of Pakistan as well as in the world. Like in India, we have also Urdu language, and that variety of Urdu language would be different that is spoken in Pakistan, right? So Urdu is spoken like in different parts of the world. So there will be several variety of Urdu language. So that is like national language, variation of a national language. And if we come that within each nation, we identify variety by regions, right? Then we have variety of a language by region. Let's talk about like Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, right? Pashto is spoken in this part of Pakistan. And then that is region, one of the region of Pakistan. And then we have several variety of Pashto language which are spoken in different parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. If we talk about like Punjab, so in Punjab, Punjabi is spoken. And there are several variations of Punjabi language, varieties of Punjabi language. And similarly, we have also Sindhi language, and there are several variety of Sindhi language. We have Balochi language. There are several variations of Balochi language, right? So we don't have like, we have also regional language, and then within regional language, we have also variety of each regional language. Right? So in the UK, for example, we speak of Scot, Northern, Central and Southern dialect. Like in Pakistan, We have national language, that is Urdu, and Urdu is spoken differently in different parts of Pakistan, so then that would be the variety of Urdu language. And if you talk about like languages which are spoken in different provinces of Pakistan or different states of Pakistan, like in KP, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan. So then these would be like regional language. And then within regional languages, we have also varieties of those regional languages, right? On this slide, we will discuss understanding a dialect. Dialect variation is generally understood to be based on geography. Some people think or understand that variation in a language is due to geography. For example, this part of Pakistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, we find different varieties of Pashto in the southern part of this province, right? And similarly, we find different varieties of Pashto in the central and the northern part of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So, of course, variations in a language do exist based on geography, but this is not the only factors. We have other factors which lead to variation in a language. For example, that however, there are other factors that lead to variation too. For example, there are differences in the speech of different classes. Let's talk about Pashto language. Like upper class people, okay, they will speak one variety of Pashto, while middle class will speak other variety of Pashto, and lower class will speak other variety of Pashto. So variation also does exist based on classes or on the basis of classes in society, because we have different classes in society: upper class, middle class, lower class, and upper middle class, right? So ethnic group, sometimes we have also variation based on ethnic group, like in Pashtun we have different ethnicity, different ethnic group, okay? And sometimes this variation in the language is due to age group, children, adult, and like a senior people or senior citizen of society. And sometimes this variation does exist, that is on the basis of gender, like female language is different than male language, right? So these we have different variation, and there are differences between educated and undereducated speech. For example, that if Pashto is spoken by highly educated person, so he or she will speak one variety of Pashto. And if Pashto is spoken by like uneducated person, so he or she will use another variety of Pashto language. So it means that we have variation in a language that is due to geography, that is due to like different classes in society, that is due to ethnic groups, right? And that is due to age group, and that is gender, and differences exist on the basis of educated and uneducated people, right? So then you see that we don't have one factor that lead to variation in a language, but we have several factors, right? So we don't have only geography which leads to variation in a language. We have other factors too, as I explain here. Now, in the US, there are dialects such as African American Vernacular English. In the UK, the dialect known as Cockney has a class basis. So, as Trudgill, we call here Trudgill, right? This is a citation of Trudgill. Calls it the traditional dialect of working class London. In South Asia, there are dialects differences based on like caste and religion, and so that speak of like a Burman dialect and a non-Burman dialect of say like Tamil and Hindu versus Muslim Bengali or Kashmiri. So in the US, there are dialects such as African American Vernacular English. So vernacular English is the one that is spoken by ordinary people of the country. In the UK, the dialect known as Cockney has a class basis, as identified by Trudgill calls it traditional dialect of working class London. In South Asia, there are dialect differences based on caste and religion, so that one speaks of Brahman dialect and a non-Brahman dialect, of say Tamil and Hindu versus Muslim, Bengali or Kashmiri. So you can see that differences exist in South Asia based on caste and religion. So you may speak the same dialect, right? But differences will exist if you belong to like Brahman, right? Or you belong to non-Brahman. Brahman, that is like high class people. And non-Brahman, that is like lower class people, right? So even that you will speak the same dialect, but there will be differences, right? Brahman dialect and non-Brahman dialect, or Tamil or Hindu versus Muslim, Bengali or Kashmiri dialect. So differences exist, okay? Vernacular English, working class, or like class basis and basis on the caste and religion. So geography is not only factor. We have several factors, as I mentioned, or I'm mentioning one by one. Okay. So there are dialects that are identified with both religion and caste. For instance, with Hindu and Christians, Cockney, they are Brahman Hindu versus non-Brahman Hindu Cockney, and Brahman Christian versus non-Brahman Christians Cockney. So you can see that differences also exist based on like a religion and caste. For attitudinal reason, the term dialect is not the preferred way of referring to national Englishes, such as American English and British English. Instead, linguists and lay people alike use the term variety. It's better to use variety. I'm using like a British variety of English, or I am using American variety of English, or I'm using Australian variety of English. No matter which term we use, some people may still contest the superiority or inferiority of one variety or another. So some people think that British English is superior than American one, or some people may think that American English is superior to British one, right? But there's no matter of like a superiority or inferiority. All varieties are same. Okay, I mean same, like they have got the same status. No variety is superior and no variety is inferior, right? But people think that this is superior variety and this is inferior variety. For instance, as recently in 1995, Britain's Prince Charles observed that the American version of the language was very corrupting and that the English version was the proper one. He told the British consul that we must act now to ensure that English, and that, to my way of thinking, means English, right? Maintain its position as the world language. Okay, well into the next century. So that is okay when he was addressing to British consul that you should ensure that people use British English or English. English belong to English people. So this variety would be a superior one according to Prince Charles. But okay, that linguists and sociolinguists, they say, or they like emphasize that no variety is superior to another variety and no variety is inferior to another variety, right? So this okay, just some people may speak one variety and some people may speak other variety, but there is no inferiority or superiority, right? Now in the next lecture we will discuss accent. Thank you so much. It was all about language, dialect and variety, and you learn that what are the factors which lead to variation in a language. And we learned that whenever we speak, so we don't speak a language. Rather, we speak a variety of a language, right? And then we learn that there are several variety of a single language, right? And these variation in a language is due to geography, due to class, due to gender, and due to religion, caste, right? And due to like educated and uneducated people. So these are some of the factors which lead to variation in a language. So thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the channel.